Welcome to This Week in Missouri Politics. It's endorsement season for the primaries, and we are joined by Garrett Hawkins, the president of rural Missouri, the president of the Missouri Farm Bureau. You got some recommendations for us, I see.
It's been a busy, it seems like few months, Scott. You know, you think about the traditional approach of Missouri Farm Bureau, and you see that evolution happening within our political action structure that's always grassroots in nature, and yet here in the last few days, our folks have made another series of endorsements.
I view it like this. If you're on the farm and new technology comes out, whether that's land leveling technology, whether that's the hydration technologies that exist now, farmers adapt. And the Missouri political landscape has changed. And the Missouri Farm Bureau is now adapted. And now you're endorsing in primaries, right?
We are. Not in every primary,
Sure.
But I will say, you know, our folks take a hard look. Our political action committee, actually every county, I think folks who know Farm Bureau know we're organized at the county level. Every county Farm Bureau board has a PAC trustee that is their voice in the process. And those trustees gather every few months. In this case, you know, when they met in February, they made the resounding endorsement for Mike Kehoe and his candidacy for governor.
I love how when you walk into the Farm Bureau building, you walk by those cobblestones, and there's one for every county.
Yeah.
It lets you know this is the sum of the parts, and these are the parts of all these different counties.
Right.
It's just such a reinforcing message that you're here as a member of Missouri Farm Bureau, but you're also a member of your local Farm Bureau is how you got here.
That's right.
I just love how that just drives that home because that makes it very unique. Even other ag groups, it's not a statewide thing. There's not members of other ag groups in every county and organized and things. It is truly the Farm Bureau is unique in that regard.
Yeah, and it's been that way since we became the first state Farm Bureau in 1915. And so you think about that. Missouri Farm Bureau exists because county farm bureaus have come together as a federation to form the state organization, and that's where we derive our power. So whether it's policy development, we just had members in earlier this week to kick off our policy development process. Obviously, we've been recapping the state legislative session. We just had all of our commodity advisory committee members on Zoom call this morning to recap the state session. But then also this week, we've done political action. We had 77 counties represented at a political action session in which they interviewed candidates for lieutenant governor and attorney general.
So you came out early on for Mike Kehoe for governor.
We did.
What made the group take that decision?
You know, if you know Farm Bureau members, you know they are extremely loyal, and they support people who support them. And so part of the process is always looking at track record, right? Looking at voting record. In this case, obviously, Mike Kehoe has a voting record as a state senator. He had a proven track record of working with Farm Bureau on issues like Rock Island Trail that is an infringement upon private property rights. He's also shown through the years a very forward-looking mindset about infrastructure, knowing that infrastructure is not just critical to Kansas City and St. Louis, but we need good roads and bridges as we think about farm-to-market roads, how we haul our commodities, and how we transport our most important asset, our children, to and from school.
Well, let's just call a spade a spade. Jay Ashcroft, Secretary of State, does not have a voting record. So he has the opportunity. Bill Eigel is frequently. You might think all Republicans and Democrats vote the same. That's not the case. Mike Kehoe sided with rural Missouri more than Bill Eigel has. I get to sit in the peanut gallery and watch. Calling a spade, I think Mike Kehoe's earned that support. He's certainly given that support. I think he's earned it back.
Well, certainly, you know, back in December at our annual meeting, we did something that was really unique and hosted a candidate forum. All the gentlemen, including Crystal Quaid, who was running for governor, they were there. They answered the questions and talked about their vision. And certainly, our folks have respect in some ways for each and every one of the candidates. It's just when you look at the track record and the relationship with Farm Bureau through the years, Mike Kehoe has it. And in fact, he's a farmer himself, a first-generation farmer. And many of the folks where he farms, those folks know him in that area. And certainly that just translates and made for a decision that our Farm PAC trustees were ready to make.
I've watched you do something. I've watched you treat Democrats with respect. There was a time when that Farm Bureau was full of Democrats. The world has changed. The political landscape has changed. I've watched you sit down and talk to Democrats and treat them with respect, and I've watched you earn support for a lot of rural Missouri things on things that, let's be honest, most Democrats represent very urban areas. They have come around on a lot of policies that have been able to rule Missouri. I think that respect has been treated with respect.
I mean, Scott, our folks believe in building bridges, right? And what we're looking for is a mutual respect and understanding that what we do in agriculture is important, regardless of whether you live in Columbia or whether you live in Iron County. So what our folks do is a noble profession of trying to provide safe, affordable, abundant food. And what we do, and hopefully what people see, is we are trying to build the bridges, trying to open conversations. I think back when Congressman Cleaver came out and supported us when we were talking about right to farm. And we were literally at a community garden in urban Kansas City, as the congressman did what others weren't necessarily willing to do, and to come out and talk about the importance of protecting farming and ranching in this state. And so when you think about this past session and conversations that we had about our health plan bill, year number 2 of working on trying to address this donut hole that exists in federal health policy, what we saw was passage of 104 to 21, but more importantly, we saw 25 House Democrats vote present. So maybe they're not a yes yet, but what that number...
They used to all be a no.
They all used to be a no, and what that signifies is that maybe we're reaching a point of mutual understanding that there is a core constituency, particularly in agriculture, that has been left behind by federal health policy, and some recognition that at least Farm Bureau is stepping up to try to help provide a solution that we know is proven now in 10 states.
So let's talk about the Attorney General's race.
Yeah.
You did have a farm boy in it. Where'd y'all come down?
Well, our folks have endorsed Andrew Bailey for AG. Something that has impressed me personally, he hadn't been in the seat very long when the Attorney General picked up the phone and asked me to come over to the office to discuss the Biden administration's latest rewrite of the Waters of the United States rule. And as I sat next to the Attorney General that day with a coalition of folks who have long been involved in this discussion, what I saw early on was his military background and experience now transitioning into this seat, and him taking command and saying what the state of Missouri is going to do to continue to show leadership in this space. That impressed me. And now you see that he's willing to take on overreach in so many areas.
You know what I like that old boy? Is he knew, we were talking one day and had somebody kind of from the city kind of posing about hauling hay. Well, if you haul hay, most of the time, you probably ought to wear a little bit long sleeves. Because if you don't, you're going to get cut up. You either got to go no shirt or long sleeves.
Yeah, okay.
Everybody's got their own choice in that. But Andrew Bailey had hauled hay before. Yeah, and I think that matters. And it's hard to understand farming from Manhattan. It's a little easier to understand farming from Montgomery County.
Well, and again, as we interviewed 3 candidates the other day, as our members talked to me, again, there were strings about each one. But what we have seen, we have seen Andrew's track record thus far. He is tackling tough issues. And frankly, I think we in Missouri have truly, if you think about recent years, how much leadership we have shown in the national space about protecting private property rights, pushing back against federal government overreach, and now the latest frontier, or states like California that are completely not only off the cliff themselves, but trying to bring and drag the rest of us along with them. So you think Prop 12, now you have California Climate Disclosure Rule. And what we're seeing is we have an Attorney General that in a short amount of time has shown that, okay, we're going to take on this frontier as Missouri as well.
And it matters.
And it matters.
It matters to folks, not just farmers. It matters to Missourians. If you've got somebody, the worst enemy you've got, really, is the federal government. And if it's ran by a Republican, that should only make you just slightly less worried about it.
Well, I mean, yes, the federal government is an enemy, but even worse is when the federal government is complacent and is more than willing to let states like California set policy that affects all the rest of us. That's what now we are showing. Now what Attorney General Bailey is showing is that we as Missouri are going to fight that frontier as well.
So let's talk about Lieutenant Governor's race.
Yep.
You got to endorse another farmer.
We did. Lincoln Huff.
Yep. Actually
a member of the Greene County Farm Bureau Board of Directors. And some of the folks there who have served with him through the years kind of take credit for helping raise the guy. I
liked his story where he starts his first job was milking cows. I like that.
Yep. I mean, he has earned his way through the Farm Bureau world. And again, He interviewed 6 folks in that race. What sets Lincoln apart, again, proven track record. Our folks are used to working with Lincoln. He is one of their own. He is a fellow farmer. He feels the pain. He feels the pinch in the pocketbook. He's also shown willingness to open lines of communication to get things done. You saw that again this year with the appropriations process. And he had to get a little creative, but guess what? We got the appropriations bills done on time. And again, that's what sets Lincoln apart, I think.
The supermajority that votes for the supermajority leaders. You start to wonder why we send folks to Jeff City from rural Missouri that vote for folks to be in leadership from the suburbs that don't care about our folks. But boy, they want us to care about all their social issues.
Well, got to remember how much rural Missouri is important to this overall economy, right? And think about where we're positioned. I don't know that I've ever heard anybody during my 20 plus years of being involved in policy, anybody better than Roy Blunt talking about the opportunity for Missouri, right? You see when he moves his hands together and he talks about, oh, yes. But you know what? Nobody does it better. And every time he does it, I always get goosebumps because the opportunity before us is tremendous. As I travel this state, what we talk about is we want for our young people to see Missouri as the place to live, work, and serve, okay? There's nothing more than we want to bring the kids home. And for whether you're in urban, suburban, or rural, all of us should share the same mission of making sure that Missouri is the place to be, right? Mm-hmm. So how do we get there? My gosh, it would be great to get back to addressing the fundamental issues. And from our standpoint, now 10 states have enacted health plan legislation because it's a no-brainer. It is showing to work. It's addressing a group of people that want to make a choice with their own money, with no government help, mind you. They want to be able to use their own money to address this most important risk within their lives. And yet, all we need is for the government to green light and get out
of the way.
That's it.
Well, Garrett Hawkins, president of rural Missouri. I look forward to talking as the campaign season unfolds, see how many of these endorsements come in, and then maybe as we get ready for next session, talk about exactly how we get the government out of our way in rural Missouri.
Amen. Let's do it.
We'll be right back. Sharon Jones will join us for our Opinion Maker panel after this.
For more than a century, the St. Louis Carpenters Union has shaped our communities. Through trusted alliances, we deliver skilled professional craftspeople while our business partners provide the kind of quality jobs that keep our economy humming. It's a blueprint that has worked since 1882. Turning Missouri into a right-to-work state stalls progress, wipes out jobs, and kills momentum. Right to work is wrong for everyone. Let's keep Missouri moving forward. Visit carpdc.org to learn more.
America is under attack.
We need to lock the border down. As governor, I will fully support President Trump in securing our border.
Biden's open border means Chinese fentanyl is flowing into Missouri. Now they're coming for our land.
China is the enemy of our country and of the state of Missouri. As governor, I will stop China from bringing fentanyl into our state and from buying up our farmland.
Mike Kehoe will defend our borders and stop China. Paid for by the American Dream PAC.
You know, Missouri farmers have been doing what's best for their land for generations. After all, no one knows what it takes to feed and fuel a growing global population better than they do. So why are trial lawyers threatening Missouri farmers' best defense against weeds? Our farmers don't need to be controlled. They need to be supported. Keep glyphosate in our state. Show your support at TakeControlMissouri.com. Paid for by Modern Ag Alliance in support of Missouri farmers.
Data captured by our state-of-the-art monitors helps us pinpoint the timing and location of severe weather more accurately and respond to trouble more quickly. Ameren Missouri's investment in smart technologies like this is one way we're improving reliability and restoring power faster than ever. Responding to trouble before trouble hits. That's energy at work. Ameren, Missouri.
Welcome back. This week in Missouri Politics, Opinion Maker panel time. Bryce Beal, running for state representative in southern Boone County. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, so the new 44th district, actually, they've drawn in all the way up to Centralia and Hallsville in the northeast. But
you got like a moon-shaped, huh?
Yeah, kind of a backwards L is what I like to tell folks. So, yeah. But yeah, I'm an Ashland guy myself, so southern Boone.
Rudy Veit, Cole County's own. Thank you for making the time, sir.
It's a pleasure being here again. It's great to share your knowledge, and I have to say your podcast, your shows are probably the greatest thing we have as far as good old country truth.
Just good old simple hillbilly talk, right? I love it. I appreciate it. Ed, Sharon Jones, thank you for making the time.
Always an honor.
All right, the Trump verdict.
Yeah.
As in Southern Missouri, when this verdict came down, it's all anybody want to talk about. I think Donald Trump is not honest. I think he probably is a bad guy. I think all the warts on Donald Trump, I get them. But boy, I tell you, I have no idea what he was convicted of, and it just looks shady.
You know, it's one of those weird financial crimes things. The laws of New York are very complicated. Once they charge you with one, there's a domino effect and they can charge you with the book. That's what they did. I don't think it's going to change anyone's opinion one way or the other.
Rudy Veit, I actually think there were some folks, I'm not sure Donald Trump would have been the nominee if they didn't start arresting him all the time, but I really think there's something inside folks' guts, regular folks, that think there's something not right with this. I mean, what the hell did he even do?
Well, first off, I have great respect for our judicial system and our court system. So I'm not faulting the jurors. They follow what they thought was the law, and that's what they swore to uphold. I mean, if they were going to be biased, you'd think they would have went the other direction just to protect themselves. But at the same token, it was very complicated, and in talking to my constituents, which I have been out talking to them, it really hasn't changed the opinion of anybody that I've seen.
I think it fired some folks up even more. I don't know if it did on the other side. I talked to Crystal Quate this week. She said folks on the Democrat side weren't talking about it as much. But folks on the Republican side, here's the question. I asked Chris Kelly, this someone I respect a great deal. To me, the definition of a political prosecution is this. If they weren't in politics, would they be charged with that crime? Now, some crimes you have to be in politics for, but I believe if he would have lost in 2016, I don't think they ever charge him.
Well, I agree with you. It would have just went by the wayside, but that's part of the system we're in. It's not, our system isn't totally fair.
Well, Bryce, I tell you, I look at it and it just smells funny to me. And I firmly believe Donald Trump would have been charged with nothing if he would have lost to Hillary Clinton.
Well, and Scott, that's borne out by the facts, right? So in New York, the statute of limitations is 5 years. And the only way that they were able to charge him with these crimes is because the statute told while he was in Washington, D.C. So if he had been in New York for those years that he was the president, the statute of limitations would have ran during his presidency. But instead, he's in D.C., so they told the statute of limitations and then get him on a technicality.
Do you think if he would have lost in 16, would he have been charged?
I think he would have been charged with some of the stuff, others not. I think that his business rivals have been part of the push behind this. It's not entirely political. This is also about the way he was fudging the numbers.
Prediction time, will he go to jail?
I don't think he'll serve a day in prison.
I think they're going to pull this, and the same people pushing this are going to be like, okay, maybe this wasn't the silver bullet we hoped. They want to call him a convicted felon. They're going to get to now. I think they've got their foot on the flesh.
If you put him in jail, it's going to create another whole set of circumstances where nobody knows what the outcome's going to be, and it could well work in his favor.
Will he go to jail?
I don't see how. The logistical nightmare of the Secret Service trying to run a jail, how would that even work?
I tend to agree with you. I don't think he goes to jail for the same reason he got charged. No politics. Now, let me ask you this. Is Donald Trump closer to being president today than he was 2 weeks ago?
Well, $200 million doesn't hurt anyone's chances. So what was it? 52 million in 24 hours, 100 million into a super PAC and one donation. That's a game changer.
I'm sorry, Rudy. I think if I was a lawyer working for Donald Trump, I'd have been pretty worried if I was going to get paid. I'd feel a little better now.
I'd still be worried.
I think that's probably right.
I shouldn't have said that.
Closer to being president today than he was 2 weeks ago?
Well, the polls have shown that it has motivated certain people in the Republican Party to be more active, and I haven't seen the reaction yet of those of the other party. And like I say, I've been campaigning and talking to constituents, and it's only ingrained in some their belief that he's been a victim.
Is he closer to being president today? I'm going to say I think he is.
I don't think it's changed a thing. I truly, truly don't. I think we are in a place where things are so baked in that the people who were on Trump's side were already there. The people that weren't were already there. And that middle ground is now less than 5% of our population.
Incredible.
Yeah.
That a presidential candidate is convicted of a crime and it changes nothing.
No.
It says an amazing thing about us as people. It says a lot about Trump. It is a shocking thing because I tend to agree with you. Although I do think there are some Republicans a little more fired up than they were. Even folks that were like, just tired of the drama, they're like, well, you did a whole nuclear drama. I almost think there's a tit for tat. Last question on this topic. Rudy, is this going to put onus on Republicans now to go forward and get their own pound of flesh and start prosecuting Democrats? What they did not do with Hillary Clinton.
Well, they may do that, but the constituents that I talk to, they want people to go to Washington. They want people to go to the state and work. They're tired of it. They will vote, and they're supporting Trump. But most of them, not all of them, but a good portion of them just want our government back to something that's respectable and doing the right thing.
Bryce Beal, I think there's Republican prosecutors now. They're going to face immense pressure to go tit for tat and pick out something that Joe Biden did and try to put him in jail.
You know, I think that's probably right. But unfortunately, you know, I think the system works better when we don't turn it into a political witch hunt.
The system works better when they do it like Donald Trump. The scoundrel's administration did not prosecute his political opponent, which I think that she could have been charged for her email thing. He didn't. I thought I respected that about him. I tell you, I'm not sure that the judicial system looks better than it did 2 weeks ago.
I'm not sure it does either. And like Representative Veit, I have great respect for our judicial system. It's not always perfect, but it's a lot better than the alternative. And I would really like to see all of the adults in the room get back to governing our country and out of this tit-for-tat nonsense.
Let's talk some races. The governor's race. It feels like if you were Mike Kehoe and you needed a list of things to happen for you, it feels like a lot of those things are happening for you. And some of the things his opponents needed, those things aren't necessarily happening for them. It does feel like there's a little momentum behind Kehoe.
I think there is. And this has always been a question of how far right has the Republican Party in Missouri moved and how much of that vote is going to be divided between Ashcroft and Eichel. I think it's how far right, because I think that what we're seeing is Kehoe represents good old-fashioned Republican Missourians. And then you've got Ashcroft and Eichel splitting this newly invigorated, far conservative side of the Republican Party in Missouri. Do they split that vote and allow Kehoe to become governor? Or do people shift to Kehoe because they're tired of what we were just talking about?
I sit back and I watch, and the people that are the angriest, that say they're the right-wingers, they're not nearly as conservative as most normal, regular Republicans. They just scream louder. Is it about whether they aren't right or left, or is it about, do you want somebody screaming or do you want somebody talking to you?
I think it's a lot more about the screaming. I mean, and I'm kind of biased. My part of the country is Kehoe country.
Sure.
And so everywhere I go, people are motivated and enthused by him. And even at the...
you can't drive to Taos without seeing 15 signs. I mean, it is Kehoe country.
It's Kehoe country, but even at the Farm Bureau, which Farm Bureau has, fortunately, did get involved in primaries, which I think is a very important role they play. That usually determines the elections now. At the annual convention, or annual meeting, I watched the crowd when Igo was talking about getting rid of the property tax. I saw some heads nodding, sure. And then he said, I'm going to get rid of the income tax, and then I started heads shaking. And people can sooner or later see through some of these things.
Bryce, you tell me. I mean, I feel like if you're Eichel, you need an influx of money. Ashcroft is probably just trying to tread water he can get on TV. Mike Kehoe's been up on TV in Springfield for 7 weeks now. And if you look at any poll in Springfield, you can tell he's tightened up and built him a little lead. I do feel like a lot of things are going right for him.
Yeah, I think that's right. You know, the money lead is huge, but also just how hard Mike Kehoe's working, right? I was driving back to Ashland the other day and saw him in southern Boone County. You know, he's out there every day meeting with folks, and that's what it's really going to take, you know, the combination of money and getting to know the people of Missouri.
So let's talk about the AG's race. I mean, it just, to me, comes down to, can the Montgomery County war hero that went to Mizzou, can he get enough Missourians to fight off the East Coast Harvard onslaught? I mean, because the money's going to be plentiful and deep coming from the East Coast to elect Will Sharf.
Yeah, I mean, assuming that Will Sharf is able to find time to come back to Missouri and campaign, it's going to be a real fight. If all he has is money and he's not actually here for most of the election season because of the work that he's doing on the East Coast, I think that gives an advantage to Bailey.
I would think so, too. I've just not seen Missouri voters punish you ever for where your money comes from or for how little you talk to them. I've seen case after case recently where you don't really have to do what you had to do, and I tend to think Will Sharf's bio up until the last 4 months was nothing to talk about. The last 4 months, I think, especially with Trump getting convicted. Rudy, let me ask you a question. He said he was Trump's lawyer. Trump lost. Mm-hmm. What does that do? I mean, Trump said he likes winners. I like losers.
Well, you know, I was talking to a lawyer who just lost $1 million verdict. And this was back when $1 million was something. And he said, well, that just means you're playing with the big boys. Didn't take away his ability. Then he did do a good trial, fortunately.
I don't know. I mean, to me, I don't even know what he was charged with. Somehow he got convicted. I think at the end of the day, though, I don't know if you have to go campaign to vote to run for attorney general. I think you might just be able to have your dad by TV ads, right?
Yeah, I think that's probably right. And with Scharf, of course, he's going to say I'm on the appellate team, not necessarily on the trial team.
I saw him on CNN. He didn't bring up all those technicalities when he was Trump's lawyer.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So give me a prediction. Who wins that?
I'm going to say Attorney General Bailey is going to pull it off. He's got the grassroots support in Missouri.
What do you think?
Well, there again, I guess I'm biased because I know Attorney General Bailey, and I've been around him when he's at the Capitol. He's a very intelligent guy. He's very family-orientated. You can talk to him.
I think it's very close. What do you think?
I think Bailey pulls it out.
Why? I'm interested to hear why.
Because I think that he's the one here who's in the news every day for good or ill. He's got the name recognition in a way that even with CNN appearances and all of that, Scharf only appears in the news when Trump's in the news. And people aren't looking to see who's the second person listed in the article. Bailey's in the headline.
Well, I think it's been a very good thing for Will Scharf to be hooked to Trump, though. I mean,
no doubt.
That was he is a smart guy.
Yeah.
All right, bonus prediction here. Who's going to win that Secretary of State's race? Well, say Valentina. Just.
I can't. That's something that I'm not going to speak into the world. I don't know. I think it's a real toss-up.
Dean Plocker.
He's got the money. Give me a prediction.
I'm going to say it's going to either be Dean Plocker or Mary Elizabeth Coleman.
She's got a lot of talent. With a minute left, who won the week?
I think Parson won the week. This Supreme Court just bent over backwards to find a way to make him right after he went out on a limb and ignored their original verdict. So I think Mike Parson.
The old Polk County Sheriff. Yeah. Who won the week?
Well, there's several, but always at Blair Oaks baseball, Blair Oaks wins all the time. But there are several other.
The latest state champion.
Yes, but there are several other students. The Jeff City student Harrison Lane and Towns Baker, they won national championships in speech and debate, which I think is a great deal from Jeff City. Yeah. And the Jays also sent 5 teams into the Final Fours, which is a great thing for any school to show that they're consistently participating.
Absolutely. Who won the week?
I'm going to say Donald Trump because I think, this verdict does make him a lot closer to being the next president.
I'm going to say the Missouri Farm Bureau. For a long time, the Farm Bureau didn't get involved in these primaries. So the action is in this state right now. This year they got involved in a big way. Say Farm Bureau won the week. Well, you'll win the week by joining us Wednesday at 12:15. Have lunch with me and the governor. We're going to be on our midweek update. Go to any Missouri Times, any This Week in Missouri Politics social media page. You can watch live chat, text me, direct message me a question for the governor. We have a good time just talking hogs, dogs, and logs. We'll see you back here again next week for This Week in Missouri Politics.
This Week in Missouri Politics is sponsored by the Missouri Automobile Dealers Association, Ameren, Spire, and the United Electric Cooperative.